I do not have green fingers. I do not wear sandals. I'm eating meat and not seeds all day. I'm just a supply chain professional, Apex master trainer, and made a promise to my daughter and my 3 boys. In that part, in that promise, you will be one element in the fulfillment. And I believe I'm in the right country that if I'm doing something, I can ask something in return. And I will do so. But at the end of my presentation, you will get an assignment from me, or we go back. Color your supply chain. You've seen the Sustainable Development Goals that started with 17 goals in 2015. Based on what we called the 10 principles of the United Nations, and they are coming back in 4 elements. The 4 elements are human rights, environment, labor, and last but not least, anti-corruption, or sometimes also called ethics, as the previous speaker said. 1850, first industrial revolution. 1950, we are on Industry 3.0, and we are now. So the only thing we can see, and this is measured by NATO, is that it's growing. We are doing something in global warmth. But is it related to what we are doing in the industry? Nobody knows. I was 2 weeks ago invited by the captain of the Margarita Maersk, that's a triple E container ship in the port of Antwerp, and to get an impression. That ship is 400 meters long, 60 meters wide, 70 meters high, and holding 18,500 containers, and traveling from China to Europe. Consuming 1,700 tons of diesel per hour. So that's a lot. The captain, who was sailing all the seas for 30 years, was worried only about one thing. And that's what he saw. He saw that the world is changing. He is having typhoons in the seas he never had. He said, I see pollution, I see waste all over, and the world is changing. So, is that something we can do something about? What is the impact on the total Earth? I do not know that. I cannot tell that this is all caused by those elements. But what I do know is that we have to change something. Which can be, let's say, normal ice times. But if we continue in this way and it has impact, then we will have an issue. Or, even worse, my and your kids will have issues. But can we change something? Can we do it by ourselves? I think we can do something. Small things, a lot of small things we can make bigger. But the only thing that is working is if we are doing it globally. And the other part, what we should know, is that we cannot harm it more. If it's not working, it will also not getting worse. So there's no reason to do nothing. Impact on the planet. We don't know, but what happened, and previous speaker mentioned something about it, and he had something about sustainability about 1974, but I have to doubt that because I think the term was not there yet, but he had it somewhere in the slides. In my opinion, it started somewhere the end of the 90s and early 2000s. Then we started what we call the triple bottom line. We could not look to the performance of a company only based on economic value. What we did all the time was measuring it by dollars, That's the most important one. So we had to do something else. And that something else was not only the economic part, but also look at the environment and look back to the social element. And if you recall the first slide, the 4 basic principles of the UN are related to at least 3 of them. So sustainability, it's not about, ethics alone. Ethics is nowadays a part of sustainability. So the 4th element, what is coming in, is the ethical part, but sustainability is to get the balance between ethics, economic, environmental, and social elements. And that's what we have to change. How can we do that? That's not something what's done overnight. That takes time. And I think when they say 15 years for those goals, that's realistic. What we first see is that we have the first horizon. Maybe that's for the next few years. Some companies are already in that, and that's screening today. Most of it, it's focused on what we call risk management. We have to do something, otherwise we are not able to produce anymore. The second phase is that you are going to optimize your processes. And then we're coming back to the topic what the previous speaker also had, managing your value. You can bring value to your customers by being sustainable. And the last one, but not the least one, it's that you can create a strategic advantage out of it. You can be the first one who is doing what, and people are going to follow you. There are some examples of it. We'll show them later, but what is the main elements in sustainable products? Because there we have to start. First of all, the product should be healthy. So that means, for instance, cigarettes, they will have issues with sustainability. Not on the other elements, but we cannot say it's a healthy product. So that's the first question. The other one is of course, if it's safe for the workers who are working with it. And in that one, we're also looking to, for instance, child labor. It's nice to have cheap clothing, but it's not nice that kids of 6 years old have to work with it. Environmentally sound, so is it good for the environment? That's the other issue we have to look at in making products sustainable. Does production benefit social communities? That's maybe a new one, but if we take, for instance, Shell as an oil company, they have to invest in local communities. They have to bring value to countries where they take products from. And we also have to do that in all the parts. And last but not least, it should be economically viable. So we are not in the business of giving money away. We want to earn money. And is it doable? I think so. I see a lot of examples coming up where it's doable to make sustainable products. This one, somebody has seen it. You have it? No, I think it's quite recently introduced. It's Adidas, sports shoe, and made from plastic from the sea. So Adidas is one of the companies who's bringing out those elements and bring it forward as you are doing something good. And look around, there are more companies doing that. This is also an example. This one is older. What is it, 5, 7 years old? How IKEA, what is a very good example in general for sustainable products, is doing some parts. What they do here in Hong Kong is bring it forward and just bring in the standard products they are having as sustainable products. So they were at that moment one of the first ones who introduced in a high scale, low price LED lamps. and things like that. That was their sustainable approach. They do more. They have a complete sustainable report in what they do on all the 17 calls, and they are quite good in it. IKEA. This is the one how you can do it maybe wrong. Because if we look it very carefully, one of the biggest problems we have on Earth in CO2, it's the number of people there are. And of course, Marlboro can use that. They will not, because they are not allowed to advertise anymore. But they can use it. But there will be something what is wrong. You will see in total that companies are focusing more and more on sustainability, bringing out some elements, and you will also see those bad examples. It also brings up the issue that if I'm in a business with not good products, sustainable products, can I be sustainable? And that will be difficult. If you are in the oil business, that can be hard to bring out that you are sustainable, but they are doing it. They can be sustainable on other elements except for the product. Same for chemicals, same for cigarettes. So what can we do, or what can you look at in supply chain and purchasing for sustainable product design? First of all, you look at low impact and recycled materials and reduce the amount of materials needed. The first one, of reduce the number of material needed. I don't know if you know the product After 8, some nice chocolates. They are packed in 8 layers. To get to that chocolate, you first have to open the box, etc., etc. Is that needed? You can reduce that. Use low impact and recycled materials. Biodegradable plastics is one of the elements. Coca-Cola, Alexander was somewhere in the room from Coca-Cola. He must know it better. But I think your boss has said something about reduction in 2030 of 50% of use of materials, plastic. So the way he can achieve it is looking to those elements. He will do some more, and he knows more, because otherwise he wouldn't have said that he could do it. But they are working on it. So Coca-Cola is also one of the parts. Source materials locally and use processes which need less energy. The source materials locally, for that one we can look to, for instance, McDonald's, who has that always as one of their strategic points. They buy everything local. So the hamburger you eat here should have grown in this neighborhood. That's their part of business. Using processes which need less energies, that can be one part that you see it in the car industry, but also airplanes, also ocean freight, that there is a lot of investment on lowering fuel consumption, but it can also be in changing your processes. And last but not least, the 2 elements. Look at the end of life. So what am I going to do if the product should be disposed? And increase durability. I can use it longer or the lifetime. I used to have my iPhone and throw it away after 2 years. It was still working. Nowadays it's going to get refurbished, and as a company you can work more on those elements. Circular economy. What is the part in that one? We have a traditional way of working. We have raw materials, we have production, we use it, and we throw it away. And most of it was non-recyclable waste. Just throw it away. In the second form, we're going to what we call the reuse economy. In that one, we try to recycle some of the parts. So my iPhone now is refurbished and coming back, and some parts are getting out. And in the end, there is very limited non-recyclable waste. In the optimal way is, we do not have waste. Everything is reused. And that's possible, theoretically. I take an example, what is plastics. Plastics, we all know we have them over here, the nice bottles, you're getting it now. And that's what we call PET. And that's, I think, 6% of the total use of plastics in the world. Is that type of bottles. Looking to the process of recycling that product, I don't know how it is done in Ukraine, but you can collect it and use some parts again in the process. So in the first part we have to process to make the plastic, and in the below part we see the part of making flakes of it and reuse it. Look at it, it's recycled, all those bottles are going somewhere and you get them. They are being pushed together in what we call bales, and those bales are transported. If I, as a recycling company, have to buy those, then I have to pay 400 to 600 euros per ton. So that waste costs something. And there's a business model behind it. Because what I'm going to do as a recycling company, I'm going to sort it, I'm going to clean it, get away of all those other elements as plastics, as labels and things like that. And you have very nice processes. I make what they call flakes out of it. So make small parts, completely sorted, and those are being brought in pallets. Those pallets have the quality that what we call food grade. And that cost me about 200 to 300 per ton, depending on what I put into the process. And I can sell it for 800 to 1,000 a ton. So that's quite good business. So your bottle, what you think it's not worthwhile, it's useful. It's useful to do something and to build processes for it. Looking to what it actually is in the waste process of PET, we have options. We can not use it, we can minimize the use, we can reuse it, we can recycle it. Then we can get back energy out of it, and last of it is just throw it away, bury it, and leave it somewhere. If we look currently to the processes, 70% it's going away. It's just wasted, and we are not doing something with it. 14% it's about to be burned, and in total we see that if you look to some comparisons, we see that 2% is reused and 8% is recycled. So the yield of the process, the complete process of plastics, it's currently 10%. That's quite low, because that means that from the 150 bottles over here, only 15 are being recycled. What Europe wants, and there I will not explain the complete picture, but there are the waste streams of plastics in Europe, and what they want to get to in 2025, so that's in 5-6 years' time, it's a collection rate of 74% and a recycling rate of 55%. And recycling means that only a limited part will be brought to be burned or to be destroyed. Ambitious goals, but we have to go into that direction. Coming to a conclusion, what is sustainability? How can we do that? The key element of sustainability is the key element for growth. If you want to survive as a company, you have to become sustainable. So you can do everything, optimize your processes, but in the end, if you are not sustainable, you will lose the battle. For most of the companies, that will be a matter of risk management. Europe is now having a directive almost finalized about plastics. So we may not use the plastic cups, the spoons and so on. And there will come more on that one. Huh? The straws, yes. So that will be all risk management. In the second part, of course, we are going to improve those processes and we are creating value out of it. And last, what I already mentioned, it's that it can be a strategic advantage. We currently see companies going into that direction. They bring that as the main part. If I take an example of, I don't have it with me, of shampoo bottles, what they do, they make the brown spickles inside of it so that you know it's recycled material and not anymore the white bottles. I'll look around in what will be done. Sustainability. I started with an assignment, I would tell you. And I come back to the first speaker. Who is actually buying something on behalf of the company? This morning were about 5? 2. Only 2. 3 already left. So for those 2, you have a difficult assignment. Because I'm asking you to get 10 of your key suppliers and do one sustainable thing. You may choose whatever you like, but try to implement it. Because I believe if you take those 10, it will also go into the chain. For all those others 150, I also have an assignment. And do it for my kids, do it for your kids, but take one thing you want to change. And whether it's buying another product, or separating your plastic, or reducing fuel, I don't care, but take one thing and change it. Thank you.